We're here in the Republican convention with Congressman Burgess. He just finished a great interview, and we're going to keep him warmed up.
All right.
What do you think is the most important campaign issue, presidential campaign issue?
Well, it's the same as what it was 2 years ago, and really the same as what it was 4 years ago, and that's getting the economy up out of the doldrums and back on track, repositioning America as a job creator, and putting the people back to work who want to go back to work. We don't need new taxes, we need new taxpayers, and that has been our structural problem that has occurred going back a little over 4 years' time, but it has endured through the entirety of President Obama's first administration, and it's one of the things that, one of the failings that it wasn't corrected. They had an opportunity, they did everything under the sun except try to improve the economic conditions of working Americans, pursued health care, pursued Dodd-Frank, pursued all of these other issues that really were of secondary importance to the American people. The number one thing they said they wanted for America to do was get back to work. The job losses in 2008 were staggering. President Obama takes office in 2009, they're continuing, and what did we get? A national debate on health care. And people were upset about it. When I did my town halls back home in August of 2009, people were showing up at what would normally be a couple of dozen people show up at a town hall, had thousands of people show up, and they were angry that the federal government was concentrating on this when they needed to go back to work.
Can you increase prosperity and employment by increasing government spending?
If you could, then we would be there, and we're not. So the answer to your question is no. I mean, how could you increase government spending more than what has been spent in the last 4 years? You had $1 trillion deficit in 2009, $1 trillion deficit in 2010, $1 trillion deficit in 2011, and another $1 trillion deficit that's going to be racked up this year at the end of the fiscal year, September 30th. So if that would do it, we should be there, or at least be showing some signs that we're on the path. It isn't going to work. And what happens is you take those federal dollars and you take money out of the private sector, and the private sector jobs, you have private sector money that is sitting on the sidelines waiting for something different to happen in the economy. They're wondering if, regardless of political party, regardless of who's sitting in the White House, they're wondering if at some point the federal government is going to get it and allow them back into the job creation that they know how to do. But right now, people are saying, I don't know. It's an uncertain environment ahead. This is like walking on shifting sands. I don't know what my employers are going to cost me under this health care law. Things keep changing. People keep saying it's going to stay or going to go. So they wait. And it's not you can't really criticize someone who is in that position and waiting, because they kind of want to know what their government is going to do to them.
Should the government redistribute its citizens' wealth?
No, that's the fundamental part of being an American is we are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's not life, liberty, and the equality of outcome. Sometimes we in Washington forget that. We are to set the stage to allow an equality of opportunity, but there is no way that we can guarantee the equality of outcome. And again, it's one of the big failings of the health care law. They're trying to guarantee that there will be equitable distribution of all of the health care resources across all levels of population. And I will just tell you, as a physician, that doesn't work. I mean, there are people who consume more health care than others. That is just a fact of life.
Are you against all farm subsidies?
Well, farm subsidies, I voted against the Farm Bill 5 years ago. This summer it did not come up. We thought it was going to. I was prepared to oppose it again. The subsidies in the Farm Bill mostly, though, go to food stamp programs and not to the family farmers. I've got family farmers in my family. I understand the critical role that they play in our economy and feeding not just America, but feeding the world. Farm subsidies really, in my opinion, have not been that successful. Yeah, farmers need a safety net just as other industries do as well. So federal crop insurance to guard against the untoward effects of nature, drought, flood, famine, whatever. But at the same time, the federal money that's put into the farm program, most of it doesn't go to help the family farmer. A lot of it goes to agribusiness, but the lion's share goes to food stamp programs.
When they tax the American taxpayer and they pay the farmer for not farming, or they give him a farm subsidy. Isn't that redistribution of wealth?
Well, it may be. But again, that's not something that I support. So, whatever you want to call it.
So you would be against that?
I voted against the Farm Bill in 2007, and I was prepared to vote against it this summer had it come up for a vote.
Are you against foreign aid?
Foreign aid is one of those things in the part of the world where I live where people say we shouldn't be doing it. At the same time, I will tell you that we are asking our State Department to perform a much larger role than they have in the past. As you know, the last American troops came out of Iraq in December of last year. But we still have a very big State Department footprint in Iraq, and their security is important as well, just as important as when we have troops there. So from the standpoint of the State Department discretionary budget, that is something that I would likely support were it to come to the floor.
But is that redistribution of wealth when they tax the Americans in order to give the money to foreigners or foreign governments?
Well, you have to ask yourself: Are you performing a function that is in our national interest? And while we can argue around some of the various activities that are done, nobody in my district wants to see any money go to Pakistan. Very few people in my district are interested in any money going to Palestine.
Very good point. I mean, we sent billions of dollars to Pakistan, and what did they do in return? They hid bin Laden.
Well, not just that. They've locked up the doctor who helped us in that recovery operation.
So you really can't buy your friends by giving them foreign aid, right? They'll do what they want regardless of whether you're giving them the money or not.
Right, but the appropriations bill in which foreign aid is embedded is the Foreign Operations Appropriation Bill. It also funds the State Department. If you're asking me, will I vote for that appropriations bill when it comes to the floor of the House, I likely will, because I do understand the very dangerous nature of State Department activities, which we have asked them to undertake right now. Now, if we change the mission, then let's have another discussion. But right now, we've asked our State Department to take on, in some cases, what was the role of our military just a few months ago. So it is a dangerous mission, a dangerous part of the world. Iran is right across the mountaintop, and those folks who are now sitting in Basra, Iraq, at our request and doing our work, and in seeing that country does maintain a modicum of stability, that's, if we agree that that's important work, I'm perfectly okay with funding that operation.
So, bottom line, are you in favor of foreign aid, even though it is redistribution of wealth, or against it?
Well, again, you don't get to strip out the lines in the appropriation bill that you don't like.
Why not? Why can't you guys vote on more smaller bills? Not do like the health care bill, 2,000 pages, not do Dodd-Frank, like 2,000 pages. I mean, that's crazy, isn't it?
Well, we absolutely should.